Hey guys, Lucas Green here, and I'm back for another awesome ranking. And today I'll be ranking the Pirates of the Caribbean movies from, the 5 movies that are out. My last ranking was of Spider-Man. This time I've seen all of the Pirates movies, and I've got an order now for how I rank them from least to best favorite. So that being said, hope you guys enjoy. Pull up your chair and all that, and we'll tuck in for a scurvy countdown with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And remember, this is all opinion based. Feel free to put in your own comments of what you like down below. That being said, let's get on with the countdown.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Pirates of the Caribbean at Wales End.
Here it is, guys. I've ranked At World's End at number 5 for me. It's a good movie, it is, but I think the falls outweigh the falls outweigh the pros. The cons outdo them. So, just to get it all narrowed down, let's just go over this. The problems I have with this movie is obvious. It's nothing to do with the villain, Davy Jones. He's a great villain. He's the only one redeeming element of this movie. But everything else is bland, mediocre, and scuffle here, scuffle there. It's like they don't even know what to do half the time. The pirates are trying to get Jack back, and there's this weird shape that, oh, you didn't really need him. It was for a greater cause of bringing the pirates together. But then when they bring the pirates together, the only pirates that are fighting are Jack's ship and the Dutchman with Davy Jones. And it's all about getting the chest to kill Davy and all that. It is a great fight, and that is a good fight, but for what it's building up to, all these pirates and this whole thing of bringing Jack back, it's kind of disappointing for many fans. And, yeah, it disappointed me too. Jack's father is in this as well, but it's not really that big a deal. He's not really that big a character, he's just kind of a slum. Anything else I want to say about it? Like, Norrington gets redemption in this. Of course he dies, but at least he gets redemption. I like that. We see him at his highest in the first movie, we see him at his lowest in the second one, and when he does get his position back, he realized what he's done wrong, and his last act is making trying to fix it for her. And I like that she kisses him, like that Keira Knightley's character, Elizabeth, kisses him because he was one of the men who had a thing for her, but she had no feelings for him because she thought he was a stuck-up, kind of character. But as the movies go on, he has development, and he really does care about everyone, especially her. So, yeah. There are some good things about this movie, as I've said. But, another bad scene that which was exactly how I imagined the script, is like, this is basically how the script was probably set up. There's a scene where they're deciding, should Elizabeth go with this pirate dude because he thinks she's Calypso, but she's not, of course. But there's this whole big like, I'll go with you, and I'll stay with you, bargain him, and all that. It's basically, I can imagine how the script writers were for this movie, because it seemed it was all over the place. So that's why there are a few redeeming things in here, but overall, the disappointments of this movie and the characters jumbling narrows it all the way down to the worst Pirates of the Caribbean for me, or the least best. There's still some good things in this movie. So, that being said, we'll be moving on now to the next one.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Pirates of the Caribbean at Stranger Tides.
And, yeah, Stranger Tides is my second least favorite. The reasons why it's a bit better than At World's End, it's not jumbled all over the place, it does know where it wants to go, but it still feels dry to me as I'm watching this. It is like the first it's like the new era, or not the new era, it is kind of the new era because they've done the trilogy with Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom's characters. Yeah, even though, spoiler alert, they come back at the end of Salazar's Revenge. Great, but we'll get onto that later. But you know, but this it seems that there is a new trilogy or a new start. So anyway, the good things about this movie, Blackbeard is a nice is a different type of pirate. He is similar to Barbossa, but he's even more reserved than him. He's got a magic sword, that's awesome. He has control of his own ship, the Queen's Anne, that's amazing. And he has a commanding presence too, especially that scene with the pistols where he's like one or two of these is loaded and he'll fire. He is a very an awesome one of the better pirate villains out of the ones we have. So when it comes to Jack himself, he's pretty much the same in all of the movies, really. So I can't really say about development-wise, because even when he does develop, it's hard to tell if he is taking development into account for himself, or maybe he makes up as he goes. He's a very confusing character, so it's hard to really go with him. But he is part of the good guys, or he is the main character of this movie. It's more like only him, and he's with the bad guys. He's more like captured for the entire movie on the Queen's Anne ship, and then he's helping to get all the pieces of the chalices just to help Blackbeard, and then he'll let him go. In exchange, if he helps him do this, he gets the Black Pearl back, which he apparently has in a bottle. So Mr. Gibbs is also in this movie, and he's sent to get the chalices too. So we don't see much of him, which is a shame, because he's awesome. Anyway though, they find after some scurfing around, there is a good mermaid stuff. I like the mermaid stuff. And then after they get the mermaid, they go and get the chalices. Barbossa, ew. I don't like what they did with him in here. First of all, they cut his leg off, which is, ugh. He's a better sword fighter with two legs, to be honest. If you've seen the first movie, ho ho ho, he is a very good sword fighter. But cutting one of his legs off, man, I would like to know how he lost it, first of all. I know he says it, but I'd like to hear the story about it. And it just sort of, and he's turned into this guy who works for the king or the queen or whatever. He's like he is a commodore. He's basically what Norrington's character was, and that's kind of not what I get from Barbossa, really. And he sticks with this design in the 5th movie too, when he does become a pirate, which is strange because at the end of this movie, he goes back to his typical pirate garb, which is an awesome design. I like it. But then he changes back to his commodore appearance, and he's still a pirate. What the? I don't know. Word of advice, Barbossa: change back to your regular suit, please. But you know, other than that, there are new characters besides Blackbeard. There are his daughter, and then apparently, Jack and her had a fling, and yeah, well, that relationship goes south as you can imagine. So, overall, I want to say, there are things good, there are things bad, but there's like a slight push. I feel like the good balances out with the bad, so that it's not overwhelming one side, if that makes any sense. They're both equal, is what I'm saying. So that's why it doesn't bother me as much. Overall, there's not really much to say about this movie. Overall, then it's a better movie than World's End. It's evened out more of a playing field. And this movie came out after World's End, so I think they took some of that into account, maybe. And yeah, so overall, I think this is a good movie. We'll be moving on to the next one.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's Revenge.
So, Salazar's Revenge is the only movie I don't own on DVD or Blu-ray. However, I've seen it on TV, and from what I saw, it easily put its place better than of the two other Pirates movies that I liked. And the reason why, it focuses on a character that I really like. That is Hector Barbossa. Yeah, this is Hector Barbossa's development movie, basically. Jack's in it, but he's just Jack. Jack is Jack, really. He just acts, he's just there to be the main, he's like the, I don't really get this guy. He's like the guy on the main cover, but when he's there, he's just like the side character, well, development of certain other characters, if that makes any sense. Anyway, the plot in this is that there's this big star constellation, and it'll lead to Poseidon's trident, which is what Jack's after. The villain doesn't want anything to do with Jack, it seems. I gotta take that back. He does want something to do with Jack, but it's kind of weird. He's got this curse on him. But he soon gets Barbossa, and he wants to kill him first, and then he says, "Oh, okay, I'll get you Jack." And then there's this whole big scuffle here about getting Jack and the constellations, and then soon enough, Barbossa's forces turns on Salazar and joins with Jack's forces, and yeah, there are all these two new characters. We got this new female and this new guy, and I didn't know who they were, and I thought, oh my god, here we go with another. I'm sure a lot of people assumed this was the returning of Disaster, because it's like you've got these rich snobs in this movie with a bunch of pirates. Turns out they're not who I thought they were. Well, one, I knew who they were because my mother spoiled who she was, but the boy, I didn't know who it was, and I was surprised who it was at the end. So we're just gonna reveal some spoilers. If you haven't seen Salazar's Revenge, go ahead and see it. It is a good movie, better in my opinion than other Pirates of the Caribbean movies that you've just seen. So check it out. But the twist is the young woman in this movie is the daughter of Hector Barbossa, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. Well, not really, because like I said, I'm spoiled it. But how it turned out she was his daughter was a nice twist about being an orphan and having this constellation, drawings of her diary, and having this jewel. It was her personal dream. And Hector seems to first refuse to accept this, even though Jack's compass points to the thing he wants most, and that's his daughter. And there's all this development. And the best part about it is there wasn't much dialogue. And when there was dialogue, it was just trying to push Barbossa away from it, when you could tell where his heart was. And that was all done without the need of words. And that was just a great performance by Jeffrey Rush on his own. So, and what's even tragic at this is when we get to the final boss fight, where you get Salazar down, when they get to the island of the Poseidon's Trident, and they split down the ocean and go for it. It turns out that Salazar shows up as well, and he wants to get his hands on Jack, who's also down there. Basically, he has no idea. He doesn't want the Trident at all at first. Then when he sees the Trident, he's like, "Oh, I'll have the Trident now, and I'll just whoosh the water around." And I feel like he would have done more. It's kind of a disappointing thing, because he's got the Trident, Poseidon's weapon. He can control the entire ocean, I'm assuming. But he just shoots the water around, or just plays with it, while everyone else is just standing there. And his forces can't help, because they can't leave. They're cursed like the first pirates, I think, or maybe something like that. And they can't leave the ocean, basically. They can't go on land, basically. But they can go on other pirate ships. So what happens is, there's this big final fight. They get their hands on the Trident, they destroy it, and that stops Salazar from doing whatever he was doing, playing around. Then I think it was there were two ships, yeah, it was the Queen's Anne and the Black Pearl, and they were, Hector was planning a rescue to get back his daughter and all the others who were down there, and they lowered the anchor, and when you see Barbossa getting his hand, she sees his tattoo of the star constellation, which is similar to her drawings, and she puts it together, and yeah, she realizes he's his dad. And however, it was down there at lower at the bottom, her lover, the young boy who who's going to be her lover, because even the characters are self-aware of that. And these two are constantly protesting that they're not going to be together. But Jack and the others just say, "Oh yes, you are. It's going to happen. It always does." And so what happens is, since Hector knows that she loves him and all that, because it's looking in with here, I know how you feel kind of thing. So he he gets a sword and he lets go and knocks down Salazar. Yeah, it was Salazar who was the trying to get I forgot the guy's name, the young boy's name, but you know, so he gets him and enslaves his daughter's love connection guy, and and seeing him fall into the ocean, yeah, and he was more developed in this movie than he was the fourth movie. And it's really sad to see him die again, but I'm sure they're gonna find a way to bring him back because he is he's probably arguably as good as Jack as the main character, you know, because he's that good. And I really hope that they find a way to bring Jeffrey Brush's character Hector Barbosa back, and I'm sure his daughter will be a good part to play in that. So if there's a movie like that, I'll be continuing to watch them from that point of view. Anyway, this has been where I ranked Salazar's Revenge. It's a great movie, it really is. And we'll be continuing on with just 2 movies left. And let's carry on.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Man's Chest.
And here we are with the next one. Whatever then, Dead Man's Chest. Yes, Dead Man's Chest is the next movie. You know what I've realized about this Blu-ray case? Whoever sent it us, sent it upside down and printed the logo on this disc. It's kind of weird. Anyway, but you know. So yeah, Dead Man's Chest is the second best Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which means you know what number 1 is, but we'll get to that in a second. Dead Man's Chest is a great movie. The chest and the it is indeed a good follow-up to The Black Pearl, which is coming up next. So, because you know it does take place around a good time period, and we do see some funny stuff with the chief, and the big plot of that Davy Jones is come to get Jack and send his beast the Kraken to get him. And yeah, he's got the black spot on, but his time will come. And throughout this movie, everyone's going after the chest of Davy Jones because it's valuable and worth a lot, and because it is very valuable. It's the heart of the captain, and everyone's going after it. And yeah, it's pretty fun, really. It's like a good a goose chase basically, because Norrington's in there. He's a pirate for a short time, and then at the end of the movie, he gets the heart and brings it to Governor Beckett. Yeah, that's it. The Kraken fight at the end, oh, that's amazing. And the stuff with the kiss scene with you got at first Jack's trying to woo Elizabeth, and then it turns around as the movie progresses with Elizabeth wooing Jack as she's a pirate kinda on the ship, and later on in the third movie she becomes a captain. But as she's doing it, it's very seductive and manipulative and kind of a darker take with Elizabeth's character, which I was really hoping that we would have seen come full circle. And it sort of does in the third movie, so there is kind of an arc to her character too, which I do like. But I think her best performance out of the trilogy is in this movie as well. Because, you know, and that kissing does make some tension between these 3 characters. And this movie does actually hold up without Barbosa in it, because, you know, one of your best characters in the movie, can it really hold up? And apparently it does. And, yeah, I was really enjoying it. There was not really any downfalls. The dice game was a fun game, and Davy Jones' introduction as the villain, he is another great villain. His tragic arc about his love of Calypso, and I like his voice too. He's always talking that, he's talking with a pirate accent, but he's even making it more scary. I even wonder, you know, the stakes. Yeah, and I do think he is another entertaining villain. I mean, the only bad pirate villain, I don't really think there was a bad pirate villain. It's more of the, I guess the worst villain was Governor Beckett, really. And so there are 2 villains in this movie, really. Governor Beckett is kind of the worst villain of them all. Overall, though, this is a really great movie. It wasn't when it comes to these Pirates of the Caribbean movies, they have this overarching dramatic plot, and that is there, but I feel like it's very combed down, and we still have an idea of where it's going. It's only in the third movie where it goes all over the place with it. So, as of where the Dead Man's Chest is, it stands on its own as a good follow-up to the Black Pearl, and we'll be doing that next.
Yo ho, a pirate's life.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the curse of the Black Pearl.
So, the last one, and the best, easily, it was when I did this Pirates of the Caribbean list, my list, when it comes to number one, it never changed at all. A lot of people can agree with me, but number one, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, is the best Pirates of the Caribbean movie. You've got Jack Sparrow is an awesome lead. He's been great throughout the movies. Nothing changes with his character, it's fine. And the plot with the cursed pirates about the treasure of Cortez, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's a pretty roller coaster of a ride. It never drags, it never bores. It shows just enough time in one location and just enough time in the next location to make it a great movie. You start off from Port Royal, which is boring, mundane, but it starts to get more interesting when Jack shows up, and he can easily handle the situation by himself. It's pretty fun. And then you get from that awesome sword fight with Will and Jack, and the music beats with great awesomeness, and then it changes into Barbossa showing up, and Barbossa, oh my god, he is a great, arguably, no question about it, he is the best villain in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and it's all down to Jeffrey Rush's performance. He is just so right on the money. He's not a scurvy pirate, well he is, but he's actually very reserved, like Blackbeard, only he's not as reserved as Blackbeard, he's more like having more fun. Because Blackbeard's so reserved that he's just not taking fun about it. While Jeffrey Rush is having fun and he's reserved. And that makes it more fun because whenever there's a situation where the characters are like don't know what to do, he reacts to how we would react in that same situation where he pulls out a gun and just shoots somebody. It's really funny, and especially when my mother's favourite scene, which as we all say, is where Will comes up from the ship and he's like, she goes free, and he does this actually earlier on too with Elizabeth, where basically they make bargains with this guy, and he agrees to follow their conditions by the book, by the note, to the, what's the word I'm looking for, Pacific. You have to make, he follows them specifically what they said. When he says she goes free, he literally drops her on the same island with Jack. That wasn't part of the agreement, mind you, but oh well. So they can do what they want, to be honest. If they want to get rid of Jack, they can. But yeah, and I like how he goes, Barbossa, you lying bastard, you saw she go free. And then he says, oh, you know, don't feel my own, my boy. I did agree she go free, but you didn't say when or where and all that. And every time, it always makes my mum laugh, and that's just amazing. It was one of our first movies we got on VHS at the time. It's a really great movie. There is really no fault with this movie at all. Every character gets enough time to do what they want. We have a lot of good stuff with Tortuga, and there are a lot of funny jokes which still hold up today. My mother's still laughing at them, despite many times as we watch this movie, like where they find Mr. Gibbs with the pigs, and they just keep throwing water on him. It's like, I'm on time, I'm already awake. That was what the smell. I mean, it's just such a great movie. I really can't figure out the cursed skeleton pirates, and Jack's skeleton form is gnarly. It's just amazing. It's just if it wasn't for this movie, we wouldn't have the other Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And heck alone, I don't think they're as good as this masterful little gem. Because, in my opinion, my personal biased opinion, guys, The Curse of the Black Pearl is, and I think will remain to this day, and if some miracle happens, but until that time, it is still, in my opinion, the best Pirates of the Caribbean movie. The Curse of the Black Pearl. It's just amazing, and I love it. I've seen it one time, and I'll see it just another million, because it's got to be my favorite Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Again, it's all opinion based. Put in the comments down below how you rank these movies. If there are any more Pirates of the Caribbean movies coming out, let me know. And just if anyone's asking, I did remember how Barbossa lost his leg. It was, I think it's involved with Blackbeard. But yeah, that's why my ranking. Put in the comments down below, like I said. And if there's any more ranking of movies you want me to do, I'll put in the comments and explain if I'll do it or not. Until next time, guys, if you like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching.